Go ahead and get you unmuted there. Sounds like we're good. Go ahead and get started with Taylor McBride.
Taylor?
Yeah, Coach. The TJ
Taylor
reputation.
McBride.
The TJ reputation is a little slandered, so I'm going back to Taylor, I guess, for now. I wanted to ask you about Will Barton, who has never shied away from the fact that he believes he is a starter in this league and has proved it on multiple occasions. But yet, whenever there's a opportunity for him to play off the bench and help the team, he's always done so with a smile on his face and helping his teammates at the same time. How difficult is it to thread that kind of a line and be able to walk on both sides while retaining that confidence that he has?
Yeah, well, first off, you're right. Will Barton is a starter. He's been a starter for us. Obviously, I think when you look at our roster, TJ or Taylor, whatever you prefer at the moment, I think we have more than 5 guys that are starters in the NBA. But the rules haven't changed yet. So I can only put 5 out there to start the game. Beginning of the year, that was Michael Porter. And obviously, Michael went down with COVID protocols. And, Will has come back in. He's coming off of a really good game against OKC, playmaking, scoring. And every game, every practice that Will gets under his belt, I am starting to really kind of see the return of that explosion, that pop that was kind of missing early in the season. Not surprisingly, because he missed so much time. But one of the things we constantly talk about as an organization, as a team, is being selfless and, checking your own personal ego at the door for the betterment of the team. And I think Will, on countless examples, as well as many other players on our roster, have shown that they've truly bought into that aspect of our culture. And that's refreshing to see, because one thing we always stress, when we win, we all win. And, Will is just a great example of that. I truly respect and appreciate his professionalism, his maturity, and his willingness to handle whatever is thrown at him.
We'll go next to Mike Singer.
Hey, Michael, good to see you. You said a couple of days ago there was nothing definitive about MPJ's status for the upcoming road trip. Do you have an update on where he's at, and do you have any sense if he'll be available tomorrow?
I believe, Mike, obviously, I think he's still being listed as questionable, pending the COVID safety protocols. I don't understand all the details because there have been so many protocols thrown at us almost on a daily basis. But once you clear and you start returning negative tests, that's a big part of it. But then there's a cardio aspect of it. You have to pass and go through a complete and comprehensive cardio exam. So I think once all of that comes back into play, hopefully he'll be able to play at some point on this trip. If it is tomorrow, great. If not, hopefully sometime soon thereafter. But as far as I know, the latest I have on Michael Porter is that he's still being listed as questionable under the guidelines of the COVID safety protocols.
Nick Griffin.
Hello?
Go ahead, Nick.
Hey, Coach. Speaking of COVID, thoughts on the commissioner's recent remarks about trying to distribute vaccinations quickly throughout the league. Have you had those discussions with your team? Where does that kind of sit currently? I guess you've said many times who wants to step up and I guess kind of take the big shot. This is a different meeting, but have you had those kind of talks yet with your team?
Yeah, to be honest, Nick, I appreciate the question. Obviously, it's an appropriate question considering what we're going through. I haven't had that conversation with that team yet. Waiting to hear what the availability of a COVID vaccine shot would be, when those will be available. I think those will be discussions we have moving forward. I saw recently, I think the commissioner came out and talked about trying to use players to create some PSAs about the importance of taking the vaccine shot. But I know for me, like my mother and father, they still haven't had access to the COVID vaccine shot. So, and they need it. You know what I mean? And I'm sure I speak for a lot of people who have mothers, fathers, aunts, uncles, whatever you want to call it. They need the shot. You know what I mean? I had COVID. Last I checked, beginning of training camp, I still had the antibodies, which was pretty remarkable that I had it for that long. So we'll talk as a team moving forward. But the one thing I always think about when we talk about COVID, vaccines, testing, is are we as a association jumping the line in front of people that really, really need it. And I'm not sure how they truly classify 1A, the hierarchy of people who get the vaccine shot. But before I get a vaccine shot, I'd like my mother and father to have it. And that's all I can say on that.
We'll go to Katie Wingy.
Hey, Coach. I know we've been talking about Jokic a lot lately, and obviously rightfully so. Monte Morris, after the last game, talked about how he's a Hall of Famer, put him in the company of Giannis and KD and LeBron. And I'm curious, we haven't asked you this in a while, but do you ever watch film and watch him play and just your jaw drops and like, how does he make the plays that he makes? And how often does that happen for you when you're watching games back?
Yeah, it's sometimes in this league you get spoiled, right? And I remember when I was in Cleveland, for example, and we were playing Miami, and it was a national TV game, and it was just a great game, and it was LeBron versus Dwayne Wade. And I said after the game in a coaches meeting, I said, you guys know how lucky we are? But we get a chance to have the best seat in the house and watch that guy play. And I think the same applies to Nikola, because although the athleticism is quite different between LeBron and Nikola, a lot of similarities, more than people would probably realize, having been around both of those guys for 5 years with LeBron, 6 years now with Nikola. And you do catch yourself like, and with LeBron, sometimes it was the athleticism along with the IQ and the unselfishness. And with Nikola, it's just his IQ is off the charts. He's thinking 3 plays ahead of everybody else. His ability to make everyone better, his scoring, his efficiency. We had a stretch in that third quarter against OKC, and I was demanding that he touch the ball in the post every possession. They were double teaming, and it's just like watching a surgeon pick somebody apart. He knows where the open man is. He found the guy. We had great ball movement, great spacing. So you do catch yourself, and I never take it for granted. I never take it granted for being a head coach. I'm one of 30 head coaches in the NBA. That's something that, as long as I've been coaching, I don't take that for granted. And you sure as hell don't take it for granted when you have a chance to coach a special player. Nikola is a first ballot Hall of Famer. Nikola is the top center in the world. And obviously we are extremely lucky to have him here in Denver because he means that much to our team and our community.
We'll go to Mark Kisla.
Hey, Coach, how you doing?
Good, kids. How was vacation?
Good. Always good. Talk to me about this team with you've got Jamal Ding, MPJ out, a lot of new guys. Where do you think you are right now? How close are you to what the team you want it to be? And what's your level of satisfaction or concern with the first dozen or so games of this team?
Yeah, I think a really good question, interesting question, because, you're always kind of taking a step back and reflecting on where we are, where we just came from, and more importantly, what we have coming ahead of us. And, to be 7-7, 500 in a really weird season, coming off the season we had, shortened off season, 7 new players. Michael Porter's been out the whole month of January. You mentioned Jamal, his elbow kind of being dinged up a little bit, which I think is a big part of his somewhat up and down play. The one constant has been Nikola and his consistency. I also looked at the fact that our defense in the month of December was 29th in the NBA. Our defense in the month of January is 13th in the NBA, so a huge jump. I think JaMychal Green has a lot to do with that. He was out the first 4 games of the season. I think JaMychal has brought shooting, he's brought rebounding, he's brought toughness, as well as defense. So I think we're getting really close, kids. Close to what? That still remains to be seen. I look at the first Phoenix loss at home, had our chances down the stretch. Dallas at home had chances to win that game in regulation. Sacramento opening night, the game should have never gone to overtime. Utah, who's a really good basketball team playing at a high level, had our chances in that game. So that's my message to our group. We showed film today, reinforcing the positive, the challenge of doing it as close to 48 minutes as possible. But we're always mentioning our numbers and stats when we win compared to when we lose, and trying to get them to understand that, because when we play the right way and we defend at a high level, we're a good basketball team. So we're improving, we're getting better, and there's no panic in our team, very connected group. And I think this is going to be a really important road trip. You know, we're going to have 5 games in 8 days. We're going to change a lot of different time zones. So hopefully we can get Michael Porter back at some point on this trip. He's our 3rd leading scorer, one of our top rebounders, and a talented player. So once we're finally whole, now we'll have to start to get a chance to really evaluate who we are and where we're going.
All right, that'll do it. Thank you, Coach.
All right, appreciate it, guys. Take care. Thank you.